are times when it appears the world has gone a little crazy. Right now, fear seems to be permeating through every part of our society. You can't find toilet paper, can't find hand sanitizer. Kids are staying home from school because the government said so. Social media and the news are filled with panic stories and pictures of empty store shelves. It brings up a question, an important one. How do you communicate during times of fear while at work? Hey, it's Rob, the MC or Master of Communication here at Porch Strategies with a few tips for you today. Number one, do the exact opposite as to what you're seeing out there on the news and social media, because leaders are reassuring, especially in times of crisis. Think of Winston Churchill. He led Britain during World War II, and as London was being firebombed, he kept the nation calm by reassuring them that the fight and sacrifice were well worth it. Now, Churchill was very deliberate about the words he chose in his speeches. He knew that words were amongst the most powerful tools that we human beings have. Words can create war, or they can establish peace. Words can evoke fear or keep everything calm. Now, as a leader, you're called to choose your words wisely, just as Churchill did. So be thoughtful. You're going to see varying degrees of panic right now amongst your team. Be cognizant of that. Now's not the time to make fun or crack jokes at the panic, because someone on your team may very well be panicked. They may be uneasy, not knowing what to do because their kids are going to have to stay home from school for 2 weeks or a month. But this is why you're in this position, to lead, to reassure, to plan, to communicate that plan with virtue and reason. Very few people have this opportunity to lead. Now, Stoic principles is what we practice and preach here at Porch Strategies. And for more on leading using those principles, take a look at our mission navigator, our founder, Amy's videos. You're going to dig what she's teaching you. Now, back to this lesson. Remind your team that you have their back. Tell them the company's going to be flexible if their kids' school closes. Tell your team to stay home if they come down with any sickness. There's no reason to come to work. Tell them we've got you covered. Now, some employees, like me, don't like calling in sick. Now is not the time for that. Reassure them of that. There will be no penalties, whether they're real or imagined, if they stay home sick. In fact, staying home sick right now is actually doing the Stoic virtuous deed, because you won't be spreading the sickness around the workplace. See, leaders put aside their own panic in times of crisis. They step outside their own fear. Leaders put others' needs ahead of their own. Now, we here at Porch Strategies also have some great tips on how to be resilient, how to stay calm during the storm. Check out our mindfulness guru, Sierra's videos. Take a few minutes and watch those. You're going to love those as well. But before you head off and do that, and trust me, you're going to love those videos, another tip on how to lead in a time of crisis. Avoid using words that evoke fear. These are words like panic, which I've said several times in this video. Now, I've done this on purpose to kind of highlight how words are contagious, just like a virus. Now, if you use the word panic, that word, panic, is going to stick in people's brains, just like toilet paper has. Our evolutionary survival brains have linked the coronavirus with toilet paper. So that's why so many people have gone out and bought every roll they could find. Now, Leadership IQ's Mark Murphy calls these feeling words, words that assign an emotion to something like terrible or panic or collapsing, always or never. You're labeling things for people, putting it in their brains. Now, think about it this way. Maybe you've watched the news a time or two, and you've heard a news anchor say something like, in Washington today, lawmakers are voting on a controversial bill. They've already labeled that particular piece of legislation controversial. That's what sticks in people's minds. This, right now, is what you want to avoid. Do not label the news item you're about to deliver. Stick to the facts. Stick to your plan. Even if your plan is working on a plan, tell your team exactly what you're doing. Who are you meeting with? What is the meeting going to be about? Is it about a work from home plan in the case that a kid's school is shut down for a month or two? Is it about a self-quarantine plan? This is where you reassure your team that you, as their leader, are on top of it. Now remember, you get to choose what you focus on. You can focus on fear, or you can focus on your team. You can focus on reassuring them that you will lead them through this, that you will work with them to get the job done no matter what comes in your way. You can also lead them by letting them know that you have their best interests in mind, that you're flexible, that you're listening to their concerns, and that you do not panic. Now think about focus as you deliver your message to your team. Think about how your team might interpret what you're going to say. Again, we're talking about word choice here. The more specific you are, the better. Because when you're specific, there's nothing left to interpret. Let's go back to the meeting example. Tell your team exactly what you're doing, that you're meeting with corporate HR Monday to formalize a work from home plan. And then you'll give the team details on that by Tuesday. This will help those that kids' schools may have been shuttered because of this virus. Now, this isn't about being Mr. or Mrs. Positive either. Be real with your team without making them panic. There's enough nonsense going on for that already. Now, Churchill was leading Britain up to the Battle of Britain when he told his countrymen and women that the future of freedom in Europe is at stake. He focused on the outcome. You should too. Your team will respect that. Here's another tip from us at Painted Porch. Time. Great leaders give themselves time to think. Churchill did. One report says, for every minute of a speech he would deliver, the former prime minister would spend an hour working on it, making it as perfect as he could. He wanted every single word to be right. So, for a 10-minute speech, according to this math, Churchill would work on it for 10 hours. The point here is not giving yourself 10 hours necessarily. The point in our final tip today on how to lead during a time of crisis or panic is to give yourself the time, the appropriate amount of time to plan for contingencies in case schools are closed or in case there's no toilet paper on the shelves. Give yourself the right amount of time to plan the words you're going to use when you talk to your team, because these words might be the most important ones you'll ever use. So reassure and lead. Now, Winston Churchill is remembered as one of the greatest leaders who ever lived because he understood the power of words. And this is your chance to be remembered by your team for how you lead them right now. So choose your words wisely. Channel your Churchill. And we here at Painted Porch Strategies would love to work with you. Combined using your talents and ours, we can help create a resilient company who can withstand anything and thrive and make your workplace an outstanding place to work where people want to come work. So for more on how we can achieve this mission together, visit us at paintedporchstrategies.com. We look forward to seeing you on the porch. Thanks.